So Liz talked about financing. We're going to touch on a few building science principles. We're going to talk about the whole house. The house is a system, how it operates, but we're just going to be able to begin to scratch the surface on these. Suggest some kind of deep energy retrofits beyond what we normally think of. And of course, we're offering training opportunities to continue on this path. You guys know about how much energy is being consumed and how the climate temperature is going up, so I'm going to skip over these and just say that on a nationwide scale, 40% of this country's energy is wrapped up in our buildings. From the gathering the materials, putting them together, operating those buildings over the years, and then whatever happens to the building at the end of its useful life, hopefully recycling those materials. 40% of our energy. And that's split roughly half residential, half commercial. So this program here is addressing both the residential and the commercial. Big chunk. And as our administration in Washington now has committed itself, and as our state and local governments have committed themselves, they want to make a difference in terms of overall energy consumption and reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. So this is a big chunk of the solution, 40% of the energy. 70% of the electricity is wrapped up in our buildings. And when you think about electricity being produced principally by coal, that's still the main source of our fuel for generating electricity. In California, we have more of a natural gas-based production. Still, it's another form of fossil fuel. It's still generating greenhouse gases. So we're talking about a big part of what's needed if this country is going to accomplish what it wants to accomplish. And here's our Secretary of Energy, Stephen Chu, speaking before the U.S. Senate Committee with Barbara Boxer chairing just recently, saying that we could retrofit existing buildings to achieve 50% energy savings with investments that will pay for themselves. How extremely fortunate that the solution to the problem, at least as far as retrofitting leaky, energy-guzzling buildings is concerned, is going to more than pay for itself. It's not like we're going to have to sell somebody something with promise down the road. We have a proven solution here which, once enacted, provides immediate payback. And as we'll get into the different measures that we consider doing, some of them, the no-brainers, the ones that come first on the loading order, have extremely short payoffs. This chart we could talk a long time about, but it was compiled to show how certain measures for cutting down greenhouse gases, principally redevelopment or refitting our buildings through insulation, through more efficacious lighting systems, more efficient air conditioning, heating, water heating. These things, these big negative numbers mean that they basically pay for themselves in an extremely short time, and they go on paying for themselves many times over during their lifetime. Measures over here, you got to invest a little bit more. The positive number indicates you got to fork out more money to make them happen. Takes longer to pay back. That doesn't mean it doesn't pay back, and it also saves greenhouse gases. But solar systems, PV and solar thermal systems, are up here somewhere. So you can see how much more of a no-brainer doing the retrofit energy saving measures are. Reduce first, and then figure out what size of clean, renewable energy generation you need to be able to operate your home now that you've got it using less energy.
Peter, what's the source of that?
That is the McKinsey. Yeah, and it's available online, mckinsey.com.
It's got a very misleading thing in there about nuclear power. I'm sorry, but it's one of my pet peeves.
Okay, come back.
I would, that's
okay.
That's an offline conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue that more. I just want to show relative. If you can save energy, it's the first thing to do. So, and we've all got our part to play in that. Okay. Let's talk effect. So here's our buildings over the times. The average the average home consumes a certain amount of electricity. You can either measure it in terms of gas or electricity, but it consumes a certain amount of energy. Those are existing homes. New homes are doing better, thanks in California, principally to Title 24. But even that leaves a lot to be desired. Energy Star homes, which we hear quite a bit about, are somewhat more efficient. But really, in terms of where we have to go, the Europeans, starting with the German passive house, have been working on this for long enough to have 20,000 homes, which they've been able to cut the energy use down to here. So when Stephen Chu is saying we can cut our energy in half, that brings us over to here somewhere. Excuse me, cut this existing homes in half, that'll bring us over in here somewhere, and there's still more room for improvement. And Paul and I have found in homes that we've been concerned with that that is a very realistic target to go for. Cut your energy use in half. Okay, and then think about what size PV system you need. Just one quick word on passive homes, and this is a whole discussion in itself. As you try and make your house more and more efficient, okay, so you're cutting down your energy consumption here, it starts to cost more and more dollars up here. And at some point, it gets to be prohibitively expensive. I can't afford to save more energy. But the amazing gift is that if you get to a certain point where you've really tightened up your building shell, your walls, your ceiling, your floor, so it's no longer leaking, and you've insulated it really well, so you're not losing much energy, at a certain point you get to the point where you don't need to have a central heating and cooling system. So you save a big chunk of money, the cost of that central heating and cooling system. And that puts you on a whole nother curve and opens a whole nother ball game. And we would like to get homes that are demonstrating how this is possible. As a matter of fact, in West Marin, we have 2 homes, a new to be constructed home and a retrofit home that are actually going for this passive house standard. And they will not have a central heating or cooling system. And they'll have a little device called a heat recovery device. Yes? Yeah.
Is the West Marin in the county?
No, that's in, it's in the county. Yeah, it's in the county part of Marin, yes.
So
yeah,
are they also subject to that, like if you're over a certain amount of square footage, you have to create so much renewable energy or something? Is that kind of some of the emphasis behind what they're doing?
No, they're doing it because it's an affordable housing nonprofit group, and they want to do the right thing. They want to provide affordable housing in a environmentally conscious fashion. This is Clam, yeah.
Project?
Yeah. And if you drive on up one out of Point Reyes Station, you go past the school, and then immediately after the school is what they call the blue house. Only it's not blue anymore because all the blue siding came off, and they're doing a really drastic energy retrofit on it. And on that same property, later in the year, there will begin construction of a new second unit that will be, again, passive house standards. Paul?
One question. Is a passive home feasible in any climate zone?
Absolutely. In most European countries are much more rigorous climates. They built them in Minnesota, they built them in Canada, far more rigorous in New England. We have it easy in California, and in fact, that's part of our problem, that we have had it so easy that our construction industry has been lazy. For decades, we have decades worth of houses that were put together, no thought about leaks. Plumbers, I used to be a plumbing contractor. My crew would be drilling holes through framing members, no caulking around that, no sealing. Electricians do the same thing. There's airflow that goes from the crawl space up through the attic, freely through the walls. And now, the good side of it is we have huge opportunities. We can make our homes far more energy efficient with very minimal cost if we're careful and know what we're doing.
Hi. I'll take over for a little bit. Peter and I are swapping back and forth. My name is Paul Rosen. I'm a general contractor, among a few other things. And I've been involved in this for 4 or 5 years now. I thought I knew what I was doing, like Peter said. I've been a licensed general contractor for 30 years and built some pretty good homes. But it was only about 4 or 5 years ago when I started to realize how little I knew. And I hope that we're able to convey to you what we're trying to accomplish.